The dining hall of Westwood High was always a loud place, a mix of laughter, gossip, and the clattering of trays. Students moved in groups, some belonging to the popular crowd, others huddling in quiet corners. It was a normal Thursday afternoon, but nobody knew that today, something unforgettable was about to happen. The new girl had just arrived at school 3 days earlier, and already she had become the target of whispers. Her name was Eliza. She was quiet, pale-skinned, with long brown hair that she usually wore tied back in a simple braid. She walked with a shy grace, never making eye contact for too long, never speaking unless spoken to. People noticed her silence and mistook it for weakness. And in a school where bullies thrived, weakness was never forgiven. Eliza carried her tray carefully that day, her hands trembling slightly. The dining hall felt overwhelming, hundreds of eyes, hundreds of voices. She wasn't used to this. Back in her old town, she had sat in small cafeterias where everyone knew everyone. Here everything felt sharper, harsher. She scanned the room, looking for an empty seat. The corner tables were already taken by students guarding them like fortresses. The middle tables, packed with loud groups, were no option. She finally spotted a seat by the wall, half empty, where she thought maybe nobody would notice her. She walked quickly, clutching her tray, but the bullies noticed. 3 boys sat near the center of the hall, their voices carrying louder than everyone else's. They were the kind who thrived on attention, always mocking, always picking targets. The leader of the trio was a tall, broad-shouldered boy named Connor. His sidekicks, Matt and Derek, followed him like shadows. Connor had seen Eliza on the first day of school, wandering alone in the hallway, clutching her books tightly to her chest. He had smirked then, whispering to his friends, "Easy prey." Today, as Eliza tried to quietly slip into her corner, Connor's eyes tracked her. "Hey, look," Connor said, elbowing Matt. "It's the new girl, Miss Silent Mouse." Matt snickered. "She looks like she's about to cry just holding that tray." Derek leaned in. "Bet she's never even talked to anyone. She probably eats leaves and air." Their laughter rang out, sharp enough for nearby students to turn their heads. Eliza lowered her gaze and quickened her pace, but it was too late. Connor stood up, towering over his table, and raised his voice just enough so the entire hall would hear. "Hey, new girl, you lost? Or are you too scared to sit with real people?" The hall quieted slightly, curiosity buzzing through the crowd. Some students turned to watch, others whispered to their friends. Eliza froze for a second, her heart pounding. She wanted to ignore him, to just sit down and eat. But Connor was already moving. He blocked her path, his smirk wide, cruel. "You think you can just sneak past without saying hi? That's rude, don't you think, guys?" Connor said, looking back at his friends. Matt and Derek stood up, circling around her like wolves. Eliza's grip on her tray tightened, her knuckles pale. She hated this. She hated being the center of attention. She hated the way their voices made her feel small. But she said nothing. Connor leaned closer. "What's wrong, Mouse? Cat got your tongue?" Derek suddenly slapped the side of her tray, making her food wobble dangerously. Some fries fell to the ground and the crowd gasped. Eliza's breath caught in her throat. She bent slightly, trying to steady her tray, but Matt pushed her shoulder just enough to make her stumble. Her apple rolled across the floor and laughter broke out. The laughter spread, sharp and merciless. Students at nearby tables pointed, whispering. Eliza felt heat rising to her face. She wanted to disappear. Connor grinned, feeding off the crowd's energy. "Oops, guess clumsy Mouse can't even carry her food. Maybe she doesn't need to eat." Derek sneered. "She's so small, maybe one fry is enough for her." Eliza's eyes burned, but she refused to let tears fall. Not here, not in front of them. She straightened slowly, clutching her tray. She took a step back, ready to retreat. But Connor wasn't finished. He wanted to humiliate her. "Tell you what, new girl," he said, his voice loud enough for the hall to hear. "If you want to sit down and eat, you gotta prove you belong here. Go on, bark like a dog. Right here, right now." The hall erupted in shocked murmurs. Some students laughed, others looked away uncomfortably. Eliza's chest tightened. She stared at him, her lips pressed into a thin line. "Bark like a dog." They wanted to make her crawl. Matt barked mockingly. "Woof woof, see, it's easy." Derek added, "Come on, Mouse, don't be shy." Eliza's body shook, not from fear, but from something else building inside her. Something deep. She had promised herself she would stay quiet, keep her head down, survive this new school. But something about the way Connor laughed, about the way they all stared, waiting for her humiliation, snapped something inside her. Connor smirked, reaching out to tap her tray again, but before his hand touched it, Eliz's voice cut through the air. "Don't." It was just one word, but it carried weight. The crowd stilled. Connor blinked, taken aback for a split second, then chuckled. "Oh, she speaks. What are you going to do, Mouse? Tell the teacher." Eliza slowly set her tray down on the nearest table. Her movements were deliberate, calm, almost too calm. She straightened, her braids sliding over her shoulder, and for the first time, she looked directly at Connor. Her eyes weren't weak. They were sharp, steady, and cold. "Touch me again," she said softly, "and you'll regret it." The crowd gasped. Matt laughed nervously. "What? Did the mouse just grow claws?" Connor tilted his head, amused. "Regret it, that's cute." He reached forward, aiming to shove her shoulder harder this time. But what happened next no one expected. Eliza's hand shot up fast as lightning, catching his wrist mid-air. Gasps erupted as Connor froze, shock flashing across his face. She didn't just block him. She gripped his wrist tightly, twisting it just enough that his smirk faltered. Connor tried to yank his hand back, but her grip didn't budge. Her eyes never left his. "Let go," Connor growled. Eliza's voice was steady, calm, almost frighteningly so. "I warned you." And with a sudden sharp movement, she twisted his wrist just enough to make him stumble forward, nearly dropping to his knees. He hissed in pain, his free hand clutching at her arm. The entire dining hall gasped, silence crashing over the room. Matt and Derek stepped forward, alarmed. "Hey, what are you doing?" Matt shouted. Eliza released Connor's wrist, letting him stumble back. She didn't move, didn't flinch. She stood there, her small frame radiating a strength nobody had expected. Connor's face flushed with embarrassment, his pride wounded. He glared at her, rubbing his wrist. "You think you're tough?" he barked, trying to regain control. Eliza's gaze didn't waver. "No, I just don't let people treat me like trash." The silence in the hall was deafening. Students stared, jaws dropped. Some looked shocked, others impressed. Nobody had ever stood up to Connor before. Nobody. And now this quiet new girl had made him stumble in front of everyone. Connor's laughter rang out again, but it was forced this time, hollow. He tried to brush it off. "You got lucky, Mouse. Next time, you won't." But the room wasn't on his side anymore. Whispers spread, voices rising. "Did you see that?" She stopped him. She actually stood up to him. Eliza calmly picked up her tray again, her hands no longer trembling. She walked to the corner table and sat down, her back straight, her face calm. She didn't need to say another word. The silence of the bullies, the stares of the crowd, said everything. And from that moment on, the dining hall was never the same.